All right, everybody, Miss Harper here for our Unit 1 test review. We're going to work through a couple of the problems on here. I'm going to skip number 1 and we're going to start on number 2. All right, looking here at number 2. This is an easy two-step equation, but I know some of y'all are scared of this one because of the fraction. Don't be afraid of the fraction. Fractions are friends. Draw that line down your equal sign if that helps you. All right, remember our goal is to isolate our variable x. All right, so we want to keep him over here. I'm going to keep my x's on this side and I want to move my numbers to that side. So first I need to get rid of this positive 5, so I'm going to subtract 5 to both sides. He goes away. I'm left over with 4/3 x equals -3 minus 5 is a -8. All right, now I have 4/3 times x equals -8. What is the opposite of multiplying by 4/3? Remember, it's okay to divide by a fraction. It looks ugly on paper, but your calculators can handle it. All right, so in your calculators, you would do -8 divided by, now most of y'all like to do your fractions this way, 4/3. All right, and then we get -6. So x equals -6. Now remember, it's always a good strategy to plug that back in for your variable. All right, and that's a great way to check yourself before you wreck yourself. All right, so real quick, I'll refresh you on how to do that. All right, we have 4/3 using parentheses. I'm going to replace that with, actually, I think we got a -6 plus 5, and we want it to equal -3. All right, so that's one way to check yourself. All right, so now I know for sure this answer is correct. Make sure you're taking the time to plug it back in. All right, I'm going to shimmy down here and look at number 3. I have y divided by 3 minus 2 equals 4. So same thing, I want to get y by himself. So I want to first add 2 to both sides. That goes away. I have y divided by 3 equals 4 plus 2 is 6. All right, now in this case, my fraction is a little bit different. This is reading as y divided by 3 equals 6. What's the opposite of dividing by 3? To multiply by 3. So we multiply both sides by 3. Our 3's are going to reduce here to a 1y, and 6 times 3 is 18. All right, again, plug that 18 back in for your variable and make sure that it checks out. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. All right, so that's how you can tell if you got this answer correct. All right, next one, I actually am going to slide back up here to look at number 6. All right, number 6 here. So remember your steps for solving. Your first step is to always distribute if you can. In this case, we do have distribution because of these parentheses. So I'm going to distribute that 3. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 1 is a positive 3. This -5 will drop down, and that equals 3x minus 2. Okay? After we've distributed, our second step is to see, can we combine like terms? All right, and I look here and I can. I have 2 of the same kinds of things, all right, apples, and I have oranges over here. All right, so I'm going to combine these two. On the same side, we just take their sign value. 3 minus 5 is a -2. Uh-oh. Hopefully you're recognizing something weird about this problem. All right, if you look at the left side and look at the right side, they're exactly the same. All right, this is going to be a special case. All right, but let's say we take it a step further. Okay, if I decide to move my variables to the left and my numbers to the right, I would subtract 3x to both sides. My next step would look like this. They cancel out on either side. I'm left with -2 equals -2. This is whenever I usually ask y'all the question, is that a true statement? Does -2 equal -2? In which case it does. But again, it should make most sense right here in this previous step. Whenever we see the two same exact equations on either side, that means I could plug in any number for x and it would have to equal, the left would have to equal the right every time because they're the exact same. So this is a case where the answer is all real numbers. All right, that means I could plug in any number that's a real number, because there are such things as imaginary numbers, but you don't want to know about those right now. So any number, 100, -1,000,000, 2,000, 1/3, any of those numbers I could plug into x, and they would equal, the left side would equal the right side each and every time. All right, so that is one of your special cases. Oh, oops. All right, next one we're going to look at real quick is going to be number 7. All right, so same thing, we always check to see, do I need to distribute? In which case we do. All right, hippity hoppity. That becomes 8y minus 4 equals, again, I need to distribute. -10y. -10 times -5 is a +50. Okay, do I need to combine like terms? Well, no, I don't have anything to combine. So my next step is to move your variables to one side. So let's say I decide to move my variables to the left and my numbers to the right. I'm going to add 10y to both sides. All right, he goes away. I get 18y minus 4 equals 50. All right, 18y. So again, I'm trying to get y by himself. So now I'm going to get rid of this -4. So I have 18y equals 54. I'm going to take that party over here. 18y equals 54. Now I have 18 times y equals 54. To undo that operation, we will reduce both sides by 18. That divides off to 1y. And in your handy-dandy calculator, 54 divided by 18, see what we get? And we get a +3. So y equals 3. Again, check yourself by plugging that answer back in, okay? I'm not going to do it this time, but you know where to replace your variable, right here and right here. Plug in a 3 and make sure that when you do that, the left side evaluates and equals to the right side, okay? All right, and that's going to be it for these ones on the front. I know some of y'all might have come here to look at number 9. Don't be afraid of number 9 just because of the decimals. You can handle it. Pick a side to move your variables to, pick a side to move your numbers to, and do that two-step process. Over onto the back. Here we go. All right, I'm going to simplify number 11. Remember the big difference there is, does it have an equal sign? This one does not have an equal sign, so I'm just going to distribute and combine like terms. All right, so 6 times x is 6x. 6 times -5 is -30. All right, make sure here that you're distributing a -3. -3 times -4 is +12. -3 times x is -3x. All right, so it's great that we distributed, but you got to take it a step further because it says to simplify. So we want it to be as simple as possible, so we combine like terms. Here's some x's, and here's some regular numbers. 6x minus 3x totals to 3 positive x's. -30 plus 12, that's going to combine to a -18. And that would be my final answer there. All right, we're going to look at numbers 12 and 13. Number 12, A equals L times W. So I'm going to make a little translation here. What if it said 10 equals 5 times X? Okay, kind of how it says A equals L times W. All right, it wants us to solve for W. What if I told you to solve for X? Remember, think about what those inverse operations are. So since we are multiplying on the right side, to undo that operation, we're going to divide both sides by L. He goes away, and I'm left with W equals A divided by L. And that would be your final answer there. One last one, number 13, we're solving for Y. All right, so here's who I'm trying to solve for. So who do I need to move to the other side? The x. Yeah, that's a great one. So we're going to pick up that x and subtract him to the other side. Now remember, these are apples and these are oranges. We can't actually subtract the two, so we just line them up side by side. I'm going to write this over here. So I'm left over with 5y equals a negative 3x and a negative 20. Now you could also put negative 20 minus 3x, and that would be okay too. In my last step, I have 5 times y equals all of this. To reduce that, I want to undo that operation, so instead of multiplying by 5, I'm going to divide both sides by 5. When I do that, I want to divide each part by 5. 5y divided by 5 reduces to 1y. This guy is going to stay as a fraction. And then negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4. And that would be our final answer there. Alright guys, hopefully you know all of your vocabulary. Plus you have Google, so use that. Get ready for your vocab portion as well. I will post the answer key. Make sure that you check your answers, and good luck on your test.